People who have spoken today. When I was 8 years old, I could see my need to be forgiven. So with the help of my mom, I asked Jesus to live in my heart, but that was just the beginning. My parents taught me right from wrong and the love of God. The Lord really blessed me when he put me in my family, because it's due to their teaching from the Bible that I was able to avoid a lot of bad decisions and heartache. From birth through 6th grade, my family went to a small church in Atkinson where we felt loved, but that church didn't have very many kids in attendance. By 6th grade, I was actually starting to wonder what the purpose of going to church was. I would often purposely take naps during the sermons. Then when I was in junior high, we started to go to Faith Community Church. That was one of the best parenting moves my parents made. I made friends with people who believed what I believed and could encourage me in my walk. Dave and Alan Foster were also a huge encouragement to me through my junior high and high school years. Junior high and high school was definitely a time of taking my parents' faith and making it my own. The Lord has been so good to me, so I'd like to share a few of my God stories with you. The first God story I want to share is a story that some of you know, and that is the story of how the Lord showered blessings on my family through a tornado. It was the summer after my high school graduation. My whole family was home. We were doing normal evening things like getting supper ready and such, when the neighbor boy ran in and told us there was a tornado headed for our house. This was the first of the many ways that God blessed us, because the storm had just popped up and we didn't know it was even bad weather outside. So we ran into the cellar, which was under our garage. After a short time, we came out of the cellar. The garage that had been over us was completely gone, and the roof of our house was gone as well. All of our belongings were still in the house. They were a mess and muddy, and some were broken, but it was a miracle that they weren't spread all across the country. The Lord knew that my family was in need of a new house, and this was how he planned to provide that. The Lord sent so many people from this church and our neighborhood to help us during that time. It was through the tornado experience that God showed me, even through hard times, there can be true blessings. Another story I'd like to share is the story of how the Lord allowed me to graduate from college. Kenny and I had been married for 6 months when we decided to move from Omaha back home to Page. I was 3 semesters away from completing my music degree from Grace University. The Lord worked it out so that I was able to take classes in Omaha on Mondays and Wednesdays, and also continue my cleaning and teaching jobs in Omaha on Tuesdays. The scheduling worked out so smoothly that we felt it was the Lord's will. Shortly after starting all of the traveling to Omaha every week, we were surprised to find out we were pregnant with Kimberly. But the Lord gave me a very uneventful pregnancy, which allowed me to continue traveling. I traveled for the spring and summer semesters. Grace University was very gracious in working with me, so I was able to study from our home in Page by completing online courses during the fall and spring semesters of the following year. It was only by the grace of God that I was able to graduate when Kimberly was just 7 months old. The last God story I want to share is how the Lord provided when we moved to Atkinson. In the summer of 2012, it became clear to us that we should consider moving. Every house we considered just wasn't quite right, but we prayed and waited. I was getting nervous about the timing of all of this, if we were indeed supposed to move. Kimberly was supposed to start kindergarten that fall. In my perfect timing, I would have liked to move at least 1 or 2 months before school started so that we could get settled before we had to adjust to having a kid in school. I hated the idea of her going to school in the first place, much less having her start school just to have to uproot her and start her in a different school in a couple months. But we waited and prayed. We went through all the procedures of signing Kimberly up for school in O'Neill. Then the Lord showed us the house in Atkinson that we would ultimately end up buying. It had everything we needed for our family and the business that we were hoping to start. When we toured it, I didn't even look around very much. I just knew this was where we were going to live. We decided to wait and to pray a couple of weeks. On July 26th, we were signing the purchase agreement to buy the house in Atkinson. The only problem was that school would start in just 3 weeks, and they had told us that we would be lucky to get moved within a month. Both O'Neill and Atkinson schools worked with us, and Kimberly was able to start her kindergarten year in Atkinson. We did have to drive from Page to Atkinson every day for the first couple of weeks, but it was worth it knowing that we were heading where the Lord wanted us to be. It's just so fun for me to see where I am in my life now, and to see how the Lord has prepared me for the things that I face now, even years before I face them. The Lord is so faithful. He is so persistent and constant and patient with me. I'm so thankful that He never gives up on me.
With me, still I will follow, no turning back, turning back.
Laurel, based upon your profession of faith